Hi everybody, Army P here for eXplorminate.net, and welcome back to our Let's Play of Stellaris Utopia. We're going into episode 4. And if we leave off our last episode, we're going to be expanding quite heavily when it comes to our next colony rush. Our intention right now is to kind of box in this handsome race of an empire, the Saigagan Union. We get the funny feeling, and on the forums you guys have definitely posted what I think is absolutely correct, and that is that they're going to be a bit of a challenge later on, considering how close our borders are. We've got a little bit of an energy deficit that we're going to have to deal with, so what I'm planning on doing is actually trying to contact the glorious Valmexicus Imperium. Valmenax Imperium. Alright, let's see what we can get from these guys. So the Army Republic is willing to trade some minerals for some energy credits. What do you say? Well, looks like that's a favorable trade. Looks like he might be actually a little bit deficient when it comes to his mineral production, which is just awesome if you ask me, because we have a lot of minerals. You can see here that I've actually started a second colony ship, and we are going to be focusing entirely on going to the Collidor 3 home system. It's a level 20 planet. We get an 80% habitability, and it pushes out our borders enough that we can actually start to comfortably backfill and not have to worry about it too much. I was kind of debating taking this Canopus. Well, looks like we've got another encounter, but I was thinking about taking this Canopus too, but I don't know, that probably would have invoked too much border friction right off the bat. So what do we got here? And this is in the Sai system. Looks like some more Chrysalis. Oh no, it looks like we've got some pirates here. And you can tell it's them because they've built their ship in and around giant asteroids. Innovative, but I don't know about the structural integrity. This seems like that whole north end of my entire map here, when it comes to the center of the galaxy, seems to be a hotspot for Leviathans and a whole bunch of nasties. Okay, looks like we've researched our storage capacity, which is perfect. Well, this is an interesting choice. I know that we're going to have a conflict, pretty close here. I'm just going to switch to the next tune. I'm getting tired of this one. I find that the new music for Utopia seems to be slightly louder than the original music when it comes to through my headphones. I don't know if you guys can tell it when I'm recording. I notice it's not too bad, but maybe it's the percussion of it. It's much more epic than some of the other softer melodies. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm just going to switch it because it's actually a little bit distracting for me. We have an energy deficiency, so we can get our solar panel, which will give us 3, but because we don't really have we only have that one space station, it seems like a bit of a mixed bag to take it right here. Research speed in general is always good to take as early as you could possibly get it, because it compounds like any type of compound interest over time. You'll end up seeing benefits later on, but of course having basic deflector shields would be nice too, because we know that we're going to be into a bit of a trouble with border friction for the Saigagan Union. I'm going to take the research speed. What I plan on doing, as soon as that we've got a third colony set down, I think what I'm going to do is focus heavily on and at least matching the Saigagan for terms of our available ships. You can see here I've only got 4, right? As soon as I hit probably 8 or 9, that's when I'll start backfilling and really trying to pay attention to getting my planets up and running and doing as much as I possibly can. My food is still on the wayside here. Have to pay attention to that, don't want people starving. And it looks like we've got a frontier outpost that's been built by the glorious Valmanax? Okay, so we've got yet another anomaly. This is level 2 risk failure. So the base risk is There was a comment left in the comment section below my previous video. I just want to go through the failure risks and some of the changes that you're going to see in 1.5. Oftentimes they would be based off of the level of the anomaly and countered with the level of your scientist. This one, it looks like the failure risk is at base 20% due to the scientist's level being higher than the anomaly risk. We get it reduced by 10%. So I think it's basically the same, but they've recalculated it to a point where it makes a little bit more sense now, because I think previously, and when I played 1.4, and I'm pretty sure you guys noticed this when you guys played, there were times when you used to have a level 4 anomaly that had 0% chance of failure, but a level 2 anomaly having a 30% chance with the same scientist in question, and I was always a little confused by that. So yeah, 10% obviously we're going to take that, and that'll be good. And it looks like we've got enough unity to make our next tree. So what do we got here? Capital buildings now produce an additional 1 unity. This is one of our first options in the expansion tree. Okay, an amusement park. Let's put this off to the side for now. Okay, what else? Reaching for the stars. For the purpose of colonizing and building frontier outposts, systems count as being half the regular distance away. Now this is an interesting choice that we should probably consider taking, because I'm just going to close this for 1 second and zoom in. If you remember, what our colony cost was 193 to colonize this. This is going to eat up nearly all of our influence, which is always a bit of a dangerous thing. I never like to have my influence down too much, because it's such a detriment when you start getting to the negative factors. And another reason I'm a little concerned about that is we also haven't had our first faction pop up. So in this case, what I think I'm going to do, and even though there's probably ones that are better suited for long term, I'm going to take a little bit of a short term goal here. Because what I really wanted to do was actually build this one in this play right now. Mining stations cost 33% less, because we know we're going to start backfilling right away as soon as our navy is built. Oh boy, these are tough choices. I like having these tough choices though. It's awesome that this the traditions tree ends up favoring these kind of decisions early on, because there's something that can make a lot more sense long term, but by opening this prosperity tree and getting an additional 33% off means our minerals are going to go back faster, and it means that every mining facility that we're going to build, both for power and for our minerals, end up going to pay off and get to the red faster, right? Or get black faster. Either way, they're going to pay themselves off faster and start contributing faster. You know what? Let's risk it. Let's go prosperity. I was really thinking that maybe I should, do that, but with +2 unity, I'm hoping that our first faction is going to be happy and we'll end up producing unity. There's always a chance to do it yet. So that's exactly. Oh boy, tough choices. I'm going to make a decision. No, I'm not. I'm going to backtrack, because this is the more instant, because to build that fleet is going to take me at least a little bit longer than my anticipated back plan here. So you look here, it looks like I'm going to have 70 months here. So is 5 years, so that'll take us to 2212. Okay, well, we can debate that in the comments below. Below, I made the decision we're going to keep our unity at half place, because that way, if we want to continue to colonize, at least we have that option still. Okay, it looks like we've found an abandoned amusement park. Our society research, remember I explained this last time when it came to our storage. We'll store 90 society and 146 engineering points. Awesome! In the meantime, we have been scouting and haven't seen much. And although before I get distracted, it looks like the glorious Valmaxis Empyrean has put I'm guessing it's a frontier outpost right there. It's not going to stop us, from getting too much further. I'm actually kind of curious why he decided to do that and not over one of the planets. But that's me metagaming. Because let's face it, if it was me, I would have put that right over top of that planet. Would have made, would have made that a little bit more difficult, actually. Okay, so it looks like And it looks like the Saigagan Union's done the exact same thing. And so, yeah, it's kind of strange. It seems like the AI, instead of building a colony ship first, they're actually kind of focused on building frontier outposts. And I can't say that I can remember that from the last game that I played with patch 1.5. I do remember them colonizing much more efficiently and effectively, in fact, than I did with 1.4. So this is kind of curious. I wonder if there's some, you know, there's some interesting things at play that we can't see behind the gates. Oh, and it looks like we have found one of the curators. What am I researching right now? I think I'm going to keep that growth timer. I can't really trade too much right now anyway, so to tell you the truth, having them around at this stage of the game isn't really that effective for me. Okay, so our colony ship is built. We're going to colonize. Wow, look at that. Wow, down to 59 from 193. I don't know if that math doesn't seem to add up, or I read that tech tree incorrectly, but I thought it said that it would only reduced it by 50%. Systems count as being half the regular distance. I guess it's exponential, right? I guess as the farther away you get, the higher the amount of influence you actually have to do. Well, that's a huge discount, and I'll take it. So where we're going to build to maximize... This seems like the most obvious choice. And we're going for Kolondor Prime, so that'll be our third colony. And in the meantime, our population, as I've kind of thrived for pushing on my power, actually I think that pop is going to be going in 6 months. 6 months is we're going to start starving, so we're going to change that up a little bit. So we got an encounter at Durham. What's this here? Looks like we're going to be running into another empire, and we are. Our research is now complete. We got our armies done. I think I'm going to engineering ion thrusters. I always like to get my destroyers out as quickly as I possibly can. In the meantime, I think I'm going to take a back seat a little bit for a few months when it comes to my minerals. And right now it's time to build a couple corvettes. Make sure that anybody looking at my borders can see nothing but corvettes flying around and enjoying life. In the meantime, it looks like Brianna's doing fine and my colony ship's on its way. So not too shabby of a start, even though we're getting crowded in and we don't have a ton of allies. If I remember correctly, I think that the Valmanax? Yeah, I'll get that eventually, gentlemen and ladies. Valmanax Imperium ends up being our closest ally because they got xenophilia. And they like having democracy with other alien races. Offer a trade deal. What does he got for research agreement? I'm still wary. That's okay. We'll become friends later. Where's this guy? He's actually neutral, which is a little bit bizarre. Probably because we're both fanatic or spiritualist. To keep an eye on you guys. Well, I think for colony, again, you'll probably notice if you're watching this video and you haven't paid too much attention to why I haven't started actually mining inside of my own borders is because I don't want to trigger the Birth of Space Piracy event, although I probably could at damn near any point I wanted to at this point, just because my actual corvettes are my actual fleet's large enough to actually to bypass them. I don't have to worry about them very much anymore. How much does it cost to get interest into 5 months? What have I got here? 17. You know what? I'm gonna take it. I want to see if I can't get at least one more friendly face around here, just for the off chance of getting an early non-aggression pack that builds up, you know, some of the what do we got? A level 3 anomaly at 20%. Again, I'll take it. 80% success rate's always good enough for me. Yeah, non-aggression pack. Oh, how we're gonna build up trust. Base decays minus 25. Anyway, trying to find someone friendly, a friendly face around here would be nice. Okay, so it looks like we got the Merchants Guild. can't really do very much there. If you're unaware of this, the first time you're maybe watching some of these, whoops, did I just cancel that? Damn it. Yeah, the trader outfit is a curator, and these were introduced in Leviathans, and essentially they've got, I believe it's 4 different curators, or is it 3? You got a science curator, a minerals curator, and an artist curator. I do believe that's 3. And you get variations of them, but that being said, this guy in particular, this curator, is part of the Merchant's Guild, and what they can do is you can trade your minerals for a 2-for-1 ratio for energy credits, and then once you got your opinion built up to a certain point, you can actually build or purchase a type of strategic resource from them, which is just comes in very handy later on in mid-game when you have an abundance of one type of resource and a lack of another. Active scans of the Quaison 5 have picked up what appears to be a large ship deep in the atmosphere of the gas giant. Judging by the nearby debris, we have there have been several failed attempts to salvage the derelict in the past. Any ship strong enough to withstand the crushing gravity must be a magnificent prize. And Science Officer Bella has proposed to salvage the project for her own. I say bring it up, why not? In terms of, so she can actually start that, so let's do it. Let's do it, girl! In the meantime, I got 8 ships, 2 more corvettes, and I'll feel pretty good, because that'll bring us pretty close to our naval cap, which is at plus 15. Tell you right now, man, I absolutely love having a surplus of minerals over a surplus of energy, because my last game I was teeming with energy, and I just could not seem to pick up my economy at all. I ended up having a pretty late start. Made things interesting, don't get me wrong, but having a surplus of minerals in the beginning, give me those tasties. Alright, so it looks like we have made contact with the Great Grolfep Empire. Interesting. Okay, he's a star empire. He's got 1 giant eyeball. It's pink. It's popular around all the women these days. And they're hegemonic imperialists. Okay, so the authoritarian, they're xenophile, and they're militaristic. That's actually kind of quite the mix-up. We could end up being, pretty close in terms of relations. Yeah, it looks like we've got a pretty neutral start because of xenophilia and new contact will go away. So they'll end up probably being an ally in the future, but for right now, who knows. So let's look at our economy right now and kind of decide what we're going to base this on. I kind of want to wait for Condor Prime to actually start to team up here. What I got right now is I'm coming close to my cap. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get... I definitely changed some of these names because I can't pronounce them properly, but this sector here, well, you know what, let's do it right now. Where's my star? We're going to name this, and this is for you there, T. Foster. The Foster Star. There you go. He always posts in the forums, and I always appreciate it because it gives me a good laugh, and sometimes it makes me think. So good to go. All right, so we've got the Foster here. So we've got Foster's 3 and Foster's 4. Which one do I want? We want Foster's 3 because it's a good starting point. And look at this. Poor minerals. Oh, I thought I was actually going to make... I guess I should have looked at the nice ring in and around the little icon here. I think it would have given me the indication if it was good or bad. It's a poor quality, but we can... actually make this either a mix of, like a scientific planet, energy producing, because it's one thing that we are a little low on, or we can make this a food planet where we don't have to actually worry about anything. So when it comes to food production, we can start to really specialize some of the planets that we're going to backfill in. So I definitely am going to be going for this particular one because the obvious reason is because I get 2 planets and it only increases my cap by 1 because you remember it's sectors, it's not just individual planets. So this sector actually has 2 habitable planets in it. So that's the way that we're going to roll. So in the meantime, I think what we're going to do is we're going to wait for Condor Prime to completely top up, and then we're going to be good to go. Ooh. Looks like we've got our first access to a fallen empire. The Zac plot, Forerunners. Let's see what we got. Where are you in the world here, buddy? Oh, wow. 1 second there, Super Chief. Okay, so they're stagnant, andesity, and agmanic. Man, I'm having a hard time today. Apologies to everybody who's listening right now. They're observers. This fallen empire dedicated itself to the study of the younger races. It may offer tasks or demands, tasks and demand tribute from lesser empires to achieve this end. So, you can see right here we got a plus 50 attitude. They actually didn't even open our borders, which is a bit of a shame. Now, this is an interesting point. You'll notice in the last time, if we got stuck in between borders, like we discovered a different alien race, we ended up being in their borders, or someone closed borders, we had a fleet inside of it, they would just take the closest route out of the borders. Well, now you end up being missing in action. And you can see here that I'll be missing in action for 5 months. So remember that, multiplayers. If you really want to crush somebody, you can always just quickly close their borders on them, and next thing you know, they're out of their fleet for 5 months. Okay, so we have a pretty healthy amount of definitely have a healthy amount of minerals right now, so I'm kind of looking at maybe upgrading our planets a little bit. Okay, we can't do much here on Brianna. Might as well start focusing on some research, I think. Yeah, you know what I should be doing? This is exactly what I'm doing. I like to build these monuments. These monuments here will end up building unity for us, and they're actually upgradable as you start to upgrade from a colony ship to a planet administration to a capital building, whatever the case may be. And the reason is because unity is so powerful early on, being able to produce a ton of unity. In fact, that's why maybe if you look at the expansion tree where I got my icon right now, colonization fever seems to have gripped the population. It gives you 1 additional unity per capital building. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you only need 200 unity to get to your next quest, and you suddenly are producing 5 more per turn, right, or next unlock. And the reason why we want to do this, and it's probably the reason why I'm going to completely unlock expansion before moving to prosperity, even though it would have been a nice move, is because these ascension perks are so juicy. If I lock on one right now, they're locked behind certain tech walls, so there's only certain ones you can pick, but the one I suggest everybody takes a look at first, without question, there's no question about what you're going to do. It's a Ministry of Nature. Okay, so I don't know if I'll be able to unlock it. I won't definitely be able to unlock it in this one, but I will in the future. But if you're going to be playing this game, because I do believe it actually launches tomorrow, and you're let's say you're power throughing a marathon, if there's one tip I can give you, it's this one. You get the chance to clear blockers 100% without the technology, and it costs 0. The actual clear blocker cost is 0, and it gives you the ability to unlock them all. So you don't have to spend the tech to learn how to unlock sinkholes, swamps, giant glaciers, slums. Doesn't matter. Wild animals, volcanoes, mountain ranges. It unlocks all of them right away, and all you have to do is clear them for 100%. Now imagine how many times, if you even just look at the planets that I have available, right? Capital doesn't count. I've got 2 different types here that I would have had to research. And on this one, it ends up being the same thing. Those 2 different, but there's 2 of them that I'm saving like 25, 30, maybe even 40 months either researching, and tons of minerals and energy to actually clear all that 100% free. So again, Ministry of Nature. Okay, so the Zac plot Forerunners have opened borders with us. Glad they decided to do that as our fleet's now lost in space. Very cute. Again, we're just basically holding on when it comes to food and to energy. So, although we're in a better spot than we used to be, we're still not, we're still not kicking it. We're not swimming. Okay, so special research has been completed. Bella is a masterfully displayed, in a masterful display of engineering, the team under Science Officer Bella has managed to gently raise the derelict ship on Queston 5 to the gas giant's super or upper atmosphere. Despite its age, it's a remarkably good condition, and we have restored powers to its systems. No trace of the original crew remains, but we have brought over our own and commissioned the ship into our fleet. Oh wow, so we actually get a ship. That's good. And she gains 200 experience. Awesome. What kind of ship it is? Oh, it's an early destroyer. Hey, look. Wow. This is actually a really good ship. I've got point defense. I've got large disruptors. Shields. Wow. I almost want to destroy this just so I can reverse engineer it. But, you know, I got some nasty neighbors. I don't want to get into trouble. Can't research a project. I do believe we have a space station here. That's a problem. Probably be able to take them out soon. Okay, well, we can kind of start moving along. And I think what we're going to do with that addition is I'm going to get start building some mining facilities. Now that I'm 100% prepared for the birth of space piracy, I'm going to be saving up for... I wonder if I should be doing that. Yeah, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. I'm going to have a little bit of energy just because I don't like being in a deficit. As soon as this has been built, Collindor Prime's up and running, I'm going to be building another colony ship, and we're going to go into the Foster sector and start backfilling. Absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be doing that. Okay, we got a good... Our tile blocker has been cleared. It's too bad I didn't have Master of Nature. That Ascension perk is so awesome. It's almost OP. I could see the paradox being like, well, there's no reason to pick anything else for any reason. Maybe an increase in research, but for the most part, it doesn't seem to make any sense. Oh, awesome. Here we go. So our very first, it must be, I wonder if it's when it's triggered. This is me just, you know, talking out loud. But anyway, I wonder if it's the second colony gets built, or a third. Anyway. A new faction system has been founded. Okay, so a faction system has recently gained traction in the internal political landscapes of the Army Pea Republic. Led by Governor Karba, they call themselves the Electoral Freedom Center. Their members work for equality and justice for all dissidents in our empire. A disgruntled faction is a source of trouble, but those who have approved of the government's actions can be quite useful. Okay, so we're going to go into the faction screen. You can see here that faction happiness is at 47%. If the drop-down window says that basically the best that they can do right now is 50% anyway, so that starts off as a base level. We're anti-autocratic, so it gives us plus 5%. We allow free movement within our population. Apparently they don't like that, and it's minus 10%. And we have reproductive freedoms plus 2%, so that's where it gets us. So you can see here that by going down to the issues that this faction has, under free movement, it says ensuring free movement by POPs is allowed by species access to the core worlds, prohibiting forces resettlement and disabling migration flows will please the Electoral Freedom Center. Almost seems like an oxymoron, but it's like they don't want anybody coming from the sector system or the core system. So just for, you know, for our own little personal you know, curiosities to maybe try to get this to come up a little bit higher, what we'll do is we'll go to our policies and edicts, right? Now where we're going to see resettlement. Or is it my migration controls? Quite it. Refugees. Must be that. It must be resettlement. Well, either way, the faction system. So anyway, if we instituted that, they would be slightly more happy. So this is the basic concepts of the actual Freedom Center. Now you'll see here that we have an attraction, and that attraction level is basically like ethnic divergence. It's the basic you know, percentage of the how one of our pops inside of our actual empire that's not affiliated with any faction might actually transfer over into this faction system. So it's relatively quite low. Well, I'm not really worried about it right now. Sometimes you can get those to see them, you know, relatively high, maybe 5, 6, you know, or sorry, you know, 30, 35, 40 attraction levels. Okay, so you can see here at the very top of the bar, we've got authoritarian. Nobody in the, it's got a 0%, you know, attraction rate. So 0% of our pops embrace this ethics. Egalitarian, that's one of our government choices. So you can see 27% of our population is egalitarian. Xenophile, same idea. We've got pacifists. So this is what I'm starting to think this when it comes to pacifists. Because we have spiritualists and that's in. So this might actually be somewhat pacifistic. So you can see that we've got 11% of the population is actually pacifistic. So I think that this is the idea behind it, because they're anti-autocratic. They believe in complete freedoms, although I don't understand about the free movement in between the cores and not. I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but this is the basic concept of all the actual factions. And as the game kind of continues, you're going to have more and more factions that are going to spawn depending on the actions that you make in the game. If you become more warlike, you end up going to have a warlike type faction pop up and demand that you start doing more aggressive type things with your neighbors. You'll even have ones that are even slightly more fanatically spiritualist than yours, whatever the case may be, and they all come with these different issues, and depending on what actions you take in the game will signify how happy they get by completing these little checklists. Once you get them over a certain percentage of being happy, I believe it's 60%, they actually will start generating influence for you. So that's huge. It's another bonus that you can have. So that's awesome. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get these guys very much happy for the time being, but as time goes on, we'll see what happens. Okay, everybody, so I think I'm actually going to stop it there because it looks like Calidor Prime just actually launched and is now kicked off. We're surplus of every type of resource that we actually wanted. Why not? I will produce a tiny bit more food because I'm a little bit on the cautious side. That'll be perfect, and then we're going to build for our next colony ship, which will take over for Foster, the new sector Foster, and I believe we're going for what? Foster number 3. Yes, we are. Okay, everybody, this has been Army P, and thanks for joining me in this Let's Play on Utopia with the Army Pea Republic. We ended up finding another alien race, the Great Grolflep Empire, that don't seem to be very interested in causing us any trouble. We've got a fallen empire that's way across from our borders, which is always good to have. We haven't got much border friction from anybody or aggressive stance. Our fleet's ready to go. We found a derelict ship, and we're about to go into our 4th and 5th colony by the next episode. Not only that, we made some decisions in our tech tree, or our traditions tree, and we've got our awesome first faction going, and hopefully we'll be able to really kick that off and show more of the dynamic parts of the faction system later on. So this has been Army P. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next episode.